What's up, guys? How are you all doing? All right, back with some Commander action after a little break, and this time I'm actually running a small departure from the last few videos. I've got Nin the Paint Artist, and just was, again, cleaning up my archive of games before they disappeared into oblivion. This game was played for a month ago, actually, I think on something like the 4th of April, and was quite notable and exciting. So without further ado, I'm just going to dive right into it. As I mentioned before, I'm using Nin, and I'm up against Prosh, the Sky Raider of Kerr, played by Blazin21. I've played against Blazin in the past. Tends to play pretty good and focused decks, actually, and so I expected a pretty tough contest here. And looking at my opening hand, actually, I would normally be very reluctant to keep a hand like this, mainly because I'm kind of gambling the whole game on Brainstorm. But I do have Force of Will and a pretty clunky and useless Amnesia. So I've got some early defense against early ramp. And I often find against this Prosh deck, or Prosh decks in general, that if you're able to counterspell Prosh the very first time they play it, it's very tough for them to get up to 8 mana to play it a second time. And if you can keep Prosh out of play and pretty much keep Skull Clamp from resolving, you normally they tend to run out of steam, kind of like the way the Maelstrom Wanderer is too. If you can just keep them off of extra mana and keep them off of like the 8 mana range, the deck kind of falls apart. So with that in mind, I feel like because I have Force of Will, because I have Brainstorm and Remand, and obviously Spellseeker and a Mana Drain, if I can get another land or two, I should be in pretty good shape. And I think that this, going second, this feels to me like it's probably better than another random hand that might just not have a bunch of mana and not be particularly interactive. You just have to stop that first casting of Prosh, usually with a control deck, to weather the storm. So we'll see how it goes. Kick it off. He is not mulliganing. He leads with Foothills into Deathrite Shaman. So obviously I could consider Force of Willing this right off the bat, but I decide that the Deathrite's not that scary. I don't have any fetch lands that I need to use on my side, and as long as I can stop the threats that the Deathrite Shaman powers out, I should be okay. I really need to just be judicious with this Force of Will. All right. Ooh, so good. Steam Vents right off the top. All right, so now I've got the ability to remand. I'm just going to play the Steam Vents here and hope to get at least one more land with the Brainstorm to go get to cast the Spellseeker and get Mana Drain, hopefully before he can get his Prosh online. Ugh, okay, that's going to make things more difficult. He's got Ancient Tomb. And we'll see. All right, Farseek. He's just continuing to ramp. I am going to let that happen because I don't know what the rest of his hand is like, and sure, he might not have anything else in hand as far as land is concerned. It is interesting that he did play Ancient Tomb here, but he may in fact be casting another spell, and sure enough, he makes more mana and casts Rakdav's Signet. So now I'm facing 5 mana turn 2, plus potentially another land or fetch land from hand. And yeah, we're going to run out of time pretty quickly here against Prosh. Very, very glad I've kept Force of Will. So I Brainstorm end of turn, see exactly what I want to see, another land as well as a way to shuffle, which is super nice, and of course the later game Tezzeret. So with that in mind, I'm going to put back, I think I put Mox Opal and then Amnesia on top, since I fully expect that I may have to Force of Will next turn. And I'd gladly throw away the Amnesia, since he's not going to really have any cards in hand anyway. Yeah, as far as things that Prosh can do, it's basically, I'm sure many of you have faced this commander before, but it really comes down to whether or not they get Food Chain in play. And of course, again, the Skull Clamp. If they get Skull Clamp, it's just utter madness with the Kobolds, and they'll draw a million cards, and you'll probably lose the game. So you need to just make sure those 2 cards stay out of play. So there's the Amnesia, which I fully intend to have to throw away. I'm just going to leave my mana open, so I do have the option to remand if necessary. All right, so 6 mana available right now. And that's a full tap out. And of course, you can't stop Prosh's triggered ability short of stifling it with something. So, and I actually decided I'm going to remand here just to try to dig a little further into my deck before Force of Willing. I don't really care about the Kobolds very much because, again, if he doesn't ever resolve Prosh, the Kobolds just aren't that scary. So he gets an army of 0/1s, no big deal. I might be able to just clean him up later on with something like a Rift or a Rolling Earthquake. All right, I just felt like I wanted to dig a little further into the deck. Mana Leak, huh? Interesting. Okay. Well, the presence of Mana Leak allows me to safely play the Wayfarer's Bauble and hopefully get up to 5 mana. This Mox Opal is so clunky right now. It's kind of unfortunate, but Tezzeret might be able to make that Opal good later. And he plays Cobble Coffers. Kind of a strange card to see. This makes, what, -1 mana right now? It feels quite greedy to see someone running this in a 3-color deck. But it seems like so often when my opponents play Cobble Coffers, they just also have Urborg as well. So he plays Birthing Pod here. And this is pretty interesting. Obviously, I can't mana lake this as much as I would like to because he's got exactly 3 mana available. And looking at the board, sure, it doesn't seem like it's that scary right now, but my hand is really slow and non-interactive. And it kind of feels to me that Birthing Pod could become very problematic. He can get a 1 and then a 2 and then a 3. And then once we're in the 3 mana range, he's getting creatures that regrow stuff from the graveyard to destroy my stuff. It could really get out of control. And since I don't have any way to kill it short of, I guess, Spellseeker can get Sorcerer Instant. I guess I can go get Vandal Blast with Spellseeker if I need to, but I'd rather use Spellseeker to get something a little bit more important. With that in mind, I feel like this is the turn probably to cast the Force of Will to stop that, because I also want to use the Wayfarer's Bauble, and should have enough mana anyway, particularly if I'm able to fetch up a land with this and then draw another land. I can play Spellseeker and then just have Mana Drain at the ready for the next casting of the Prosh, which he still has in his hand, and he elects not to attack. So I'm going to go get a land. I don't remember if this version of the deck had Hull Breacher in it or not. I guess if I search again, I can check. All right, just need to draw a land here. I'm being in good shape, and there it is. So sweet. All right, with that in mind, with no hesitation, I'm going to play Spellseeker just to have double counter up against. So what's he doing here? I was just going to eat something. Make me take 2 damage, not a big deal. No, I forgot to. Damn. All right, well, I'm going to search with this Polluted Delta most likely, so I'll try to pause there. Okie doke. Well, he's down to 3 cards in hand, and one of them is Prosh, so only 3 cards that are potentially scary. He does have a lot of mana now, though. What is this? That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 mana. He can cast Prosh, but he elects not to. All right. Time to play Nin then, even though it means I got to come into play tap land. I feel like I'm safe enough. Given that he didn't do anything last turn, I feel like I'm safe enough to tap down to just 2 mana. And Mana Drain is obviously way more powerful when you have Nin the Pain Artist in play and active, since you can funnel all the mana into card draw. All right, so eats another thing at the end of the turn. And then at the end of the turn, he plays Chaos Warp, targeting Kobold. So he gets to shuffle his deck, and then he reveals the top card. If it's a permanent, he can put it on the battlefield. This is a hell of a gamble. This plays really neat, actually. I'm a little surprised, honestly, given that he had the ability to interact with Nin at instant speed, that he didn't save this to try to go and Chaos Warp the target when I try to use Nin to draw cards. But this is sort of a Hail Mary play, I think, and maybe he's just hoping to draw something. Like, imagine if he did, in fact, just resolve, put a Skull Clamp into play or something else similar. So I could Mana Drain this, but I realize that it's just not worth it. The chances that this screws me are low enough versus the near certainty of Prosh screwing me. So with that in mind, I just cross my fingers and hope he gets nothing. Come on. Nothing. Oh, yes. Myriad Landscape. Well, it's land. 2 more mana and some swamps for his Cabal Coffers likely, but not enough to warrant a lot of concern. All right, Blazin, what are you up to? He's just sitting here looking at counter magic, and this is just the might of Mana Drain, right? He's got this 6 mana dragon in his hand, and he just can't play it safely. There's just no way you can run a Mana Drain into your opponent, or you can run a 6-drop into your opponent's Mana Drain when you know about it. So he just has to sit tight, and that's going to buy me more time. And I'm not sacking the Delta at the end of the turn, mainly because I've got plenty of islands in play, and I'd really love to be able to use this to get the Sanctuary to reuse Mana Drain after I use it one time. So I draw Coalition Relic. It's not really that exciting, but I am going to play that since this turns on both Leak and Mana Drain. And we're just going to wait it out. End of turn. Oh, he goes for grab something. Interesting. Oh, I see what I did right there. So I guess he went to go eat the Brainstorm. In a response, I sacked the Mystic Sanctuary to go put the Brainstorm on top of my deck. Oops, let's not fast forward too much here. I just figured that saves me 2 life and also gives me the ability to Brainstorm again, which would allow me to put the Opal away, perhaps. Although with Tezzeret plus the Opal, I'm getting very close to being able to actually turn it on with Metalcraft. Let's see what he's up to. He gets 2 swamps as expected, so now the Cabal Coffers actually makes mana. All right, a lot of mana over there. It's pretty terrifying. What is he up to? Okay. Still tapping some stuff. I think he's thinking right now. Yep, and down comes Prosh again. This is going to give him a million more kobolds. And, of course, I've been waiting on my Mana Drain this whole time. And he could, I guess, sack the Verdant Catacombs, tap those 2 for, yeah, he has a total of, looks like 6 more mana, but not enough this turn to replay the Prosh. So I'm going to charge at the end of the turn. I've got a whole ton of mana in my pool right now. I draw that Brainstorm I talked about. So, 6 mana, 7 total. And I could play some shenanigans with Tezzeret and just try to really utilize this to the max. But I feel like the game's in a really precarious position right now. And I think the only thing I really need to do, given the fact that I don't have any hard counters in hand, and obviously Mana Leak won't stop Prosh or even a follow-up food chain, which would kill me. I just need to draw cards right now. And I need to pretty much draw what I feel is almost the minimum. And that's just a hand of 7 here. So I'm going to target the Spellseeker to draw 7 cards and hope he does not have a way to kill it at instant speed. So there it is on the stack, and he makes this super cool play. Here it comes. You want to talk about a card that can utilize lots of 0/1s. Tapping, tapping, tapping. And this is Chord of Calling for 11. So what could this be? I mean, there's like Blightsteel Colossus. What else is at 11? There's got to be some other Eldrazi at 11. But whatever the case is, I can't Mana Leak here. He can sack this. If I Mana Leak, he can sack the Verdant Catacombs for another swamp and use Cobwell Coffers and make 4 black and pay for it. So I got to pray here. I'm so glad that I've got Brainstorm in my hand instead of having it still sitting in the graveyard with no way to get it. And so the play was actually extremely prescient and fortunate, and I'm going to cast Brainstorm in response and hope to hit a counter. Come on, deck. Yes. 3 cards down exactly. I was dead this game probably if I had not Brainstormed there, because whatever that 11 mana thing is, it's not going to be good for me. But fortunately, that allows me to just throw some things back. And with this deadly Chord of Calling on the stack, I've got a counter spell for it. Whew. All right, and now I can draw 7. Booyah. Treachery. So strong. So actually, I probably would have been okay, given the fact, assuming that he did get something like Blightsteel Colossus, and if anybody is watching this video and knows what else would be lurking at 11 mana and has some ideas about it, I'd be very curious to know. But most importantly, it's given me the ability to play land and counterspell as well, the follow-up play. So I'm just going to play the Opal, throw away the useless Spirebluff Canal. I've drawn this card so many times in mid-game and really started to dislike it, and I'm starting to think that maybe I should just throw an extra basic mountain back into my deck, because a few times I've had things like a Myriad Landscape or Prismatic Vista. Yeah, Prismatic Vista in my deck, and needed it to get red, and I couldn't because I don't have a basic mountain. So I'm maybe actually rotating the Spirebluff Canal out for a mountain, given the fact that I added the Volatile Fjord, which is a fetchable blue-red, over the Spirebluff. The Spirebluff is just so garbage if you draw it like mid-game. It's, just horrible and unfetchable, always come into play tap land, doesn't count as an island, kind of shitty. I think the deck probably has enough red mana in it, to be honest now. There's just so many good red-blue duels now. And I'm only running 1 spell in the whole deck that has double red in the casting cost. Alright, so back to his turn. And almost certainly I'm going to see another Prosh cast here. Oh, it's Ugin. Nasty. All right, well, Ugin the Spirit Dragon would be extremely terrible for me. But fortunately, I've drawn a counterspell off of the Nin use. And with that in mind and only 1 card in his hand, Blazin sees the writing on the wall. He knows that I've just drawn a million cards. He doesn't really have a foothold in this game, and understandably packs it in. And I breathe a huge sigh of relief, given how close this game felt at multiple stages. But the Nin deck just had exactly the right answers at the right time, which is kind of what happens when you're able to draw so many cards, and that Brainstorm, that clutch Brainstorm, actually was the key to winning this game. So very grateful to have made that play. It was kind of a bit of instinctive foresight, I suppose, that I didn't even see the second time through when I was thinking about recycling Mana Drain. But I clearly was of right mind when I was playing the game, and you guys got to see that action unfold. Hope you enjoyed this game. I've got quite a few more in the pipeline that I hope to visit soon, and I will see you over there. Thanks for watching.